Yo,
Rell, what it do, man?
what's going on, man?
Ain't nothing, bro. Good morning, bro. I appreciate you for joining the show. Early this morning, bro. But man, before we kick it up, man, what's up, bro? What's good with you?
Man, you know how it is, man. Just working, man. Work from home. Well, finally back in the office. Thankfully, just this past 16 months was crazy, man. From March of last year to January. to July of July 12th, we got back into the office. But just the same old, man. Just working and stuff and try to just let loose a little, man, and just a lot of things been happening lately, man. But I'm doing all right, and I'm glad you're doing all right. Definitely, thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, nah, for sure, bro. Definitely glad to hear y'all, back in the office, everything's safe and stuff. COVID stuff is wild, like, you know what I mean? I can't even put my hand on it, bro. But yeah, for sure, man. Definitely glad to have you on here today. For those that are listening, this is a dear friend. This is a definition of a day one, definition of a sandbox, like literally a day one. You know what I mean? Like we done known each other
25 years? No.
I'm gonna say I don't even remember, bro. I think I was like 7, 8.
Yeah. So when were you born again? 91?
92.
92. So 92 plus it had to been like 96, 96, 96, 97, 95, 96, 97. So 23, 24, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And that's what I before we jump into all the great things that you had to share with the audience, like I want to just take it back, to 1621 Massachusetts Avenue, Boys and Girls Club, 17th and Compton. Before the Dunkin' Donuts, it was a Foot Locker. Before the Chipotle, it was a carryout. Like real day one, DC, man. And just about your upbringing, I was there to witness everything that you had going on, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. But I'll let you kind of dive into it, man. Just tell people about yourself, where you grew up, how you grew up, and we could just jump into this conversation.
Got you. So again, my name is Laurel Simon. My nickname is Rell. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. And yeah, you're absolutely right. 1621 was the place. I grew up with a part Black, part Filipino family and whatnot. And so I was just raised by many pots. I like to consider myself as that kid that they tell you it takes a village to raise a child, because there's been a lot of father figures, mother figures, uncle figures, or whatever. Even your own father at times was a father figure towards me. And, I'm very appreciative of that. But yes, it was very rough back then. I didn't have much, and living with Lola, she didn't work, just getting her Social Security and welfare checks and whatnot. And it was tough. You think about the shotgun shoes. You think about, for people that don't know, shotgun shoes is where you wear shoes so much that there's holes in the front. So I got big toes. And, just embarrassing at school and stuff. And haircuts at a dime a dozen. Living in the basement unit of that apartment at 1621 Mass, the carpet was so black. If you had on white socks, at the end of the day, your socks would be dirty. And at times, like, just really clothes and bags, not really having a closet. Living on, if someone would throw out some furniture on the sidewalk, take the couch and that'd be my new couch or something. It was, just trying to scrap by, having to hang the Murrays and Safeway grocery bags on the top of the pipes, in the ceiling of the unit. And one thing in particular, when Lola used to go to get her rations, her government, the powdered milk and the farina, the oatmeal, things like that. I remember one time I wanted some cereal, had pulled out a box of the milk, and I noticed that there was some tatters or some small little rips on the box. I don't know if it was God telling me something or whatever, but for some reason I just shook the box. And when I shook the box, a big ass rat fell from the back, and I dropped the box and ran out of the apartment, man. And
I remember that story.
It was rough, man. It was rough, but she did what she could to raise me, man. And a lot of people tell me, like, my mom, they never knew my dad. My mom, I've seen her a couple of times. I remember her kissing me on the forehead during like Star Search, Arsenio Hall show at like 11 o'clock at night. She rip and run in the streets. And they used to always say she was smart as me, smart as a whip, but on those drugs with I think a girlfriend she was running around with or somebody, and just causing Lola distress and this, that, and the other, man. So, it was rough, but I was able to get through, man. Just always going to school, Payne Elementary, Elliott Junior High, Eastern Senior High, all within the DC area. And that's really just all I knew, man. Going to school and just getting straight A's.
Yeah, bro. And it's everything you just kind of said, I was just envisioning, so much of it because I was there for so many moments. But, when I think about your story, your upbringing, the things you just shared, and I think us now being adults and me being able to reflect back on our childhood, your story is similar, I think, to so many people, in our city here in DC, but as well as similar to, just people growing up in urban environments. But what I'm saying is that in your case, the average guy, the average girl, they would have fell victim. Because like I said, I was there. Like you didn't have
Right.
nobody on your back saying you had to go to school. You didn't have nobody super, super supervising. So you kind of, at a young age, you could have did whatever you wanted to do. So, as you said, it takes a village to raise a child. I remember Uncle Harvey, Samara, like you said, my dad, Mr. Crawford, all these people that were in our lives. But what do you think was the thing that kept you like focused? Because even when you mentioned Payne, Elliott, to Eastern, like I said, people, we talking about pre-gentrification, we talking about pre-Washington, we talking about DC. Those three schools you just named, like those are some of the roughest schools in the district. So, what kept you focused, bro? Like just going through all those different challenges that many kids, would have just gave into.
I'll say, probably just a time stroke of luck. And at that time, being so young, not really knowing God or going to church. I mean, I didn't start going to church until 2012.
Yeah.
So really only about 10 years ago. But just standing to the books and not really ripping and running the streets. I go to school and go home and play video games or what have you. Just really just focus on that, really. And then as I got older in the high school and stuff, starting to the different types of friends, the different circles I had, man, and just not really getting into any type of trouble, and again, shout out to our childhood friends, Rell and Markel and Cornell and Tata and all of them, and shout out to my high school friends or those people that I know now, shout out to Jermaine and Jamal, the twins, and Black
Mm-hmm.
Rob, for example. Um, um, and that sort of family system, again, shout out
Yeah.
to my Filipino family, Lola Sally, Lola, Pop Camise, Rod, my cousins, and all of them. Shout out to Samira, Uncle Harvey, Aunt Lil, rest in peace, her soul. Lil Harvey and all the kids and everything like that. So, just really I just really didn't get into nothing. I was just
Yeah, and
school and video games, like playing
right.
with y'all or whatever.
Wrestling, we was outside all day, throwback,
Right.
like we was outside. But I think you just answered the question too, kind of part of it. When you just said shout out to the friend. I think that's one thing, bro. Like growing up, from 1621, people down the street, across the street, Janera, Bino, Miss Gwen,
Right.
Jarrell, Miss Lisa, Rob, my father, Tate, his
Right.
parents.
Right.
I think we always kept good company at the end of the day. Like, yeah, we was kids and we might get into stuff, but I think we kept, like good company. And I think the
Right.
company we kept, they families all embraced, even across the street, Rashad and Miss Peaches. Like we was
Right.
cool with everybody's parents or sisters or uncles. And I think, it just kind of made me think about it. I think that definitely played a role because, you based on your environment when you're growing up, you adapt to the things around. So, 17 to Compton was 17 to Compton, but the
Right.
people that we was close in with, they was trying to protect us from all that stuff that was going on outside.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess another little quirky thing is we all love wrestling. If you think about it, wrestling in the grass, putting each other through
Wrestling was
tables,
lit.
coming out with the toys and the belt and the music, the boom box with the CDs and
Yeah.
I got I'm gonna run SmackDown, you run Raw, just all that type of stuff,
Yeah,
man.
we was into it, man. Like it's so funny because I be seeing wrestling today. Like, man, this joint is so whack. I was
I mean, it
watching.
is.
I was on YouTube the other day looking at old Eric Bischoff WCW rivals. I was like, man, these are the days.
Yeah, but the magic is still there because actually, not WWE, it's a company called AEW. They they've been around
Yeah,
for
they
2 years,
solid.
and
They solid. Yep.
right. They just did a show last night. The new show called Rampage, and they just signed CM Punk. And I was sitting here watching it last night. And it's like the crowd. I was like, wow, it was grown men crying. And sometimes it's the moments of wrestling that really like get you. Like some people don't get it. Some people think wrestling is for people that don't geeks and freaks or whatever, man. Nah, man, wrestling is a whole wave,
Yeah.
man. Like but.
Yeah, that's what they did a good job at. They made it more of like I tell people like WWF, WWE was reality TV before reality TV.
True.
They had the whole storyline and everything. And so, like,
Yeah,
I never forget, man. I tell people, man, when I found out wrestling was fake, man, I came home so mad.
Yeah, I mean it's scripted, but I mean, because you gotta plan things out, but they still get hurt and stuff like that. So it's, but again, like a movie, a play is scripted too. So you know, you got to
Yeah.
think of it in a different context.
Nah, for sure, bro. Nah, that's for sure, bro. So, yeah, man, like, just, not to get off topic, stand on topic, but just thinking about, growing up in Southeast DC, going through all those different things. And then I'm gonna brag on you, like everybody's listening. Like, it wasn't like you was just Payne Elliott Easton. Like, nah, you was getting A's, you was doing your thing. Like, you was a standout student, which led to you getting a full, academic scholarship to a PWI institution. And like, I remember like yesterday, like, he was going away to school and stuff. And, for those listening, well, Ray, you were 4 years older than me, right?
I'm 33. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 29. Yeah, I'm about to be 30 in February. So I'm just saying that to say is like, you went away to school before me, a couple years, all those type of things. But I just remember those stories. You come home for break, us talking on the phone, and like, I don't think you realize the role that you played in like, the lives of people in our building or in that neighborhood. Like just seeing you go away to college, Mr. Crawford, Miss Mary, all the people that, look and watch you grow up. Like, cause when I came back home from college, I felt it like just, they was just so proud of us and see us get away. But at the end of the day, of course, I had people in my ear and my family telling me to go to school. But when you see one of your dogs, one of your homies go away and do it, especially knowing what you came from, like I said, you easily could have slipped in the cracks. Like, you ain't have to go to school at all. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Lola one knowing you could have been outside chilling, like she would have never known nothing. Like,
Right.
so seeing you take those steps, and like I said, Drew University, totally different world from Southeast DC. So, man, let us into the world of, your colleges. Kind of tell us how that went, what that shaped, today with your career, your network, everything.
Yeah, that's a nice segue to, I guess, the second piece of what we wanted to talk about. Yeah, so I graduated from Eastern in 2006. Went to Drew University in Madison, New Jersey, from 2006 to 2010. Um, it wasn't a full ride; it was a partial ride. As long as I stayed on the
Okay.
dean's list, they paid for half of it. And yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. I just wanted something different. I mean, I thought like Southeast was like my entire world or whatnot, just growing up in Southeast, things like that. And I wasn't against like an HBC or anything like that. I think I just applied to a few schools. Some schools gave me some offers, and Drew was just the one that gave me the most value, the most money to go. So being in Madison, New Jersey, getting to know the people I know now, just learning so many different cultures and people. You had people from international people going to that school, and it was a small private school where like it was only 2,000 to 3,000 people in the undergrad school, and then they have some grad school and theological school students as well. But it was a small class size. Class sizes were like 15 students to one teacher. And I chose to be an art major. I graduated with a degree in art. I used to always draw little stick figures here and there, and reading comics and drawing little Sonic and whatnot. And I remember my first year of college, I wanted to kind of like be like a Peter Parker Spider-Man, taking photos, but I couldn't afford a camera. I started taking just some basic courses, drawing, 3D, painting. I fell in love with painting, and that's become my medium of choice: painting in acrylic and oils. And it was great. I mean, I had a great experience, and I've got some lifelong friends. Shout out to my boy John Eng, who lives in New York. Shout out to my boy Sterling Reese, who recently got married last year. He got married through COVID. I would have been a part of the wedding, but the COVID sort of hampered that. But I'm glad that he got married. And shout out to my boy Nigel. And shout out to my boy Shashank too. These are all my guys that again, another sort of cluster of close-knit people in college. But the experience was, again, like you said, predominantly white. I just had a lot of different experiences from seeing the art world in New York City, learning about art and just enjoying it. Having little mini shows and learning how to take pictures of my art and things like that. And once I graduated, that kind of still blossomed. I haven't used art as a career per se. I still work as an admin assistant at the DC Superior Court, and I got that job based on who through our mutual friend, Dr. Michael Barnes.
Yes, sir.
And so I've been working there, and I've done a lot art wise. I feel like I've been accomplished. I've got a lot of pieces sitting around here in my apartment right now, where I can just, if I wanted to find a space to do an art show, just snap my fingers, have a show. And I've had multiple shows. I've had an art show with the company Raw Artists at the Howard Theater back in 2015. I've done 2 shows with Pancakes and Booze, where they had them over at Penn Social downtown. I've had some solo shows. I had a show right across the street from me on Georgia Avenue, and I've had some duo shows with some of my boys or whatnot. So I even had my artwork hanging up at the Phillips Collection, where I work part time currently, when they do staff shows. So I've done quite a bit art wise, you know, and my other sort of niche with that is I do civic paint parties. I believe I've done about 8 now.
Okay.
I think about 8 or so, where it's kind of like a house call thing, where someone tells me, "Hey, I want to do a civic paint party." Just name the time and the place and location and how many people, and I provide the supplies, the paint, the canvas, the brushes, and everything like that. And that's been lucrative. That's been a nice little side sort of thing. Haven't done it in probably about 2 years, obviously because of last year because of COVID. But that's been a nice little side hustle because everybody likes to, you know, just drink and paint and chill and talking and just having a good time. So art, a lot of people say, "Oh man, oh nigga, you got A's and B's throughout college because you out there painting pictures." But
Right.
I say, hey man, I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, man. I learned so much, and I did. I got A's and B's throughout my entire semester, except for one C plus. And I remember Aunt Lil, she was mad. She wanted to call the school and be like, "Hey, you need to talk to them. They need to fix this grade." But I was on Dean's List all throughout that whole time, and Drew was great. Again, A's and B's. You know, I graduated, I believe like magna cum laude. I want to say, I may be wrong about that, but I did graduate with the final GPA of a cum laude equivalent. But Drew was great. Drew is kind of expensive though. At times, sometimes they would tout themselves as the most expensive school in the state. I believe when I was there, $52,000 a year. And so, like I said, with Drew paying half, you cut out half of that, so you're down to 26. And my first year of college, I had so many scholarships. I was raking in scholarships, but the problem with that is a lot of 1-year scholarships, and I didn't keep applying throughout school. So the loan started to build up a little bit from year 2 onwards to once I graduated. But yeah, man, I mean, Drew was great. And I think one thing you and I can agree on is like college is just a completely different world because again, you went to Delaware State and you're just in a bubble almost with like a new subset of people from wherever they are, and you learn to gel and build and mold those relationships. And some of those are the building blocks that helps you prepare for life. I will say though, one thing about college is a couple things that college doesn't teach you. What I'll get to a little bit, but
no, for sure. And I think the listeners probably could already get a hint of it. It's a lot of stuff that we ain't learned, in the classroom from grade school, even to college. But nah, bro, that's good stuff. Because I think, it takes a lot. Because even me, like I went to Delaware State, which is HBCU, but for grad school, I went to Towson. And I'm saying it was an adjustment because it was a PWI, but it was different. I was older and I already worked in the workforce with people. But I'm saying like you coming out of DC, predominantly all Black schools, going into a whole new environment, not just an academic transition, but a culture transition. And I just wanted to ask before we get off is like, what do you think? Like, do you think you just have it in you where you always had that chameleon attitude, or like when you got to campus, you just had an open mind? Because I know a lot of people, we know people go away to school and after the first semester or something, they might just come back home because it might have not been a fit. It might have been too tough academically. But I know you going to Drew, PWI, you up in Jersey, come from DC, like that's a whole nother like world that you went into. So like, what do you think like allows you to just go in there, open up, adapt, meet friends from different places that look nothing like you, sound nothing like you? Like, what was the keys that you had that allow you to adapt to that environment?
Well, I think there's 2 tracks to that. There's like class wise, and then there's like a persona outside of class. So outside of class, the guys I just mentioned. So Nigel's African American, Sterling's African American, John is Asian American, and Shashank is Indian American as well. And so again, right off the jump, those are sort of different sort of cultural factors. And Nigel is from like this area of Silver Spring or whatnot, the DMV area already. So he was another one that sort of migrated up to Drew. But there were also some people, there were some cliques, some cultural sort of racial cliques or whatnot. But at the same time, they had like, Drew had like theme houses, like La Casa House for like theme houses, like dorm floors or complete floors that are themed places, or like Umoja House for the Pan-African experience and things like that. So I mean, it just became like a melting pot, and that sort of core that I sort of got to know. just sort of grew. And again, the first year, probably about the first semester, it was a filling out process, but things sort of mellowed out as the years went by. And then with the academic piece, again, me being an art major, I mean, and again, like I said, with the small class size, me being an art major, there weren't that many male art majors. I
Okay.
remember there were some classes where I'm the only guy, and it's all girls. I think in sophomore year, I think painting. My course was painting two, I think, and I was like, it was like 10, 10 students, and I was the only guy. Or like,
Yeah.
um, even my senior thesis year, it was about like 12 or 13 of us, and I was the only guy. But that didn't stop me. I mean, because art is universal. The art that you do can speak to so many people and speak in so many languages. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what gender or skin color you are, really. But again, like I said, I just enjoyed it. It was great, and I'm glad I was able to adapt. And sometimes I kind of feel like I can be a sponge to adapt to certain situations.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 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 no. And that's it being a PWI and just a different cultures, man. How was the dating, man? I'm surprised you didn't come back with a Kardashian.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was yeah. I think like every semester I was involved in like with somebody or something,
Yeah.
black or Latino, or what have you. It was always like a little something going on. Or somebody may like me or what have you. Uh, Nothing really like manifested out of that. It was just college, I
Just
guess.
college, yeah.
Here we are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, no, for sure, man. So, yeah, bro. Next thing I want to talk about, as we're talking about colleges, we talk about the good things of college, the jobs, the fun, the memories, the network, the parties. But as you mentioned earlier, everyone is not in a position to maybe just fund college out of their pocket or have the full athletic, academic, band scholarship, whatever the case may be. So, to continue your education and to stay in school, we know one thing is a pretty penny.
Yep.
Sometimes this deals with grants, scholarships, and then
Yep.
unfortunately it deals with loans. I'm reminded when I'm paying my loans on a monthly basis. But
Right.
you, on the hand, is someone that I'm glad you're on here to talk about this today because you're a person that I seen go to school, get the loans, not let them mentally stress you out, not let them whatever. And you just made sacrifice and like, look, I'm about to knock this down, I'm about to get this debt out of here, I'm about to get my credit straight, whatever. So,
Yep.
in this country, millions of people dealing with student loan debt. Most of them is 100,000 plus.
That's true.
Especially if you're going to grad school and all these different type of things. So today, I know the main thing I want you to get into is, man, talk about how you paid off your student loans. Like you say, you're 33. You just was in school. Just graduated probably 10, 11 years ago. And this is debt that people carry around with them till they die. So, man, let's just take a deep dive into this, bro, and kind of share your jewels and tips with the people about this topic.
Yes, and so again, part of it is part of this whole thing is like I started really dipping into personal finance. It all started in 2017. I talked about this when I wrote my first article. Dealing with that breakup. That we talked about. I was really
Mm-hmm.
just at a low point, feeling depression, not having a direction, and at the same time, I was just in debt, just a whole lot of debt.
Yeah.
$24,000 across 5 different credit cards, man. $34,000 left on student loans, and just feeling overwhelmed and feeling depressed. And it it was just rough. I needed a direction. I needed something to. I needed a anchor to float me and keep me afloat. And so, I just started reading books and listening to podcasts. Shout
Yeah.
out to Dave Ramsey. I started watching Dave Ramsey stuff on YouTube.
Okay.
Personal finance. About 3 million subscribers on YouTube and whatnot. But millionaire guy, billionaire guy, probably. But I just started going from there. I started making a plan and say like, okay, I got all this debt. I got all this credit card debt. I got all this student loan debt. It's time to put a plan to it. And I started following some of Dave Ramsey's rules, but also at the same time, some different blogs and publications that I started to read and follow. You think about Ramit Sethi's "I Will Teach You to Be Rich," how to not,
Yeah.
and in this book he talks about how not to stress over that $5 coffee, which is kind of contrast to like Dave Ramsey, where it's like scorched earth fire. Don't buy nothing, don't buy shit, and just pay everything off. But I just started
And
doing
I
this,
want
like
to,
really hunker down and focus.
yeah. And then I'm sorry to interrupt you, bro, but I wanted to stop you right there because I hear that advice a lot. I've gotten it a lot. Don't buy nothing, don't do this, don't go out right. But we know it's hard to do. So how do you really strap down and discipline yourself, especially if you was a social butterfly. You like to be in the mix of others. So, when you go out, it costs a price. You might want to get some food. You might want to get some drinks. You might want to Uber, pay for parking. So how do you really stay down, like, and really discipline yourself to not go out and buy nothing that you don't need?
I think a perfect example of that is last year. Think about COVID. If you think about how we sitting at home, or me sitting at home, telework. Again, my job, I have to dress up, suit and tie. Well, not suit, but dress shirt and tie and slacks. And I love Jordan 13s. Also, I got a bunch of Jordan 13s. But you think about last year, I'm just sitting around in sweats, not really using my clothes, and not having to go anywhere. And so that's one of the main things. You really got to sit down and write down how much money you really have to yourself and the funds you have available, and really just start a plan of attack. And so, COVID, hopefully for some people, taught them like you can sort of live with less. And that COVID really helped accelerate my grind, because you think about 2018, 2019, I made a plan, started paying things down, getting through it. 2020 ended up being a hump to really get me through. And again, I was fortunate to still have a job. But some quirky things that I did, my work bonuses, all that went straight to the student loans, the stimulus checks that we got, all that went straight to the student loans. But I just kind of, you gotta take things in order, because in 2018, I paid off one of my smaller student loans, and in 2019, I paid off my credit cards fully. So that 24 grand I mentioned earlier, and pretty much in 2019, the fall of 2019 until March of this year was the sort of final stretch to finish paying off my student loans. But you really got to sit down, take the time to sit down and evaluate how much money you're bringing in, and just create a plan of attack. And it's hard. I mean, you also got to say no to stuff. You got to say no to people. A lot of people happy hour, this, that, and the other. Let's go to brunch, do this and do that, and you have to say no to people, and or try to do things for free, do things cheaper, or have experience cheaper. But it all depends on where you are. There's some people out here that have $1 million in debt. There's some people that have $500,000 in debt, or there's some people that make 100 grand and have 100 grand in debt, but it's still underwater because they don't know how to manage their money. So at the end of the day, it really is about like being able to manage your money and being able to get that together.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro. Money management is key. And, just sticking on the topic of the loans and what we covered before, it makes me think this, because I've experienced it talking to young people in my family, talking to young people when I worked as a college advisor in the high schools. And, I think in our communities, sometimes when we're not aware, we just look at something for what it is and we say, oh, don't go to college, don't get in that, it's not worth it, this and the third, so we know it costs. But I wanted to ask you, as you talk to the listeners, would you say that at the end of the day, that debt, the loans you took out, whatever, for one, the first question is, would you say, was it worth it? And then the second question is just like, even though if you said it's worth it or not, like, would you do it over? Like, would you like say, oh, maybe I should go to a less expensive school, or, oh, maybe I should apply to more scholarships before I go to college? Like, what would you do like differently?
So to answer the first question, yes, education is key. I don't think you have to go to like a Yale or Harvard necessarily to get the education that you want. You can probably go to a lesser, cheaper school, or like a 2-year school, or what have you, or like a state school, or what have you. Education is always important. Education is one thing that it can't take from you. You probably heard it before. You may be black, but it may take away so much from you being black, but they can't take away your education. So that's one thing. But I do something differently. Yes, I probably would have gone to a cheaper school. I would have just kept being motivated to apply for more scholarships or whatnot, because it can become burdensome when you think about it like that. So I definitely put some advice to people. Go to the college you want to, but try to evaluate how much college you can afford between yourself and your parents or whatnot. I actually touched on that in one of my articles in terms of situational saving. If you're in high school, for first year high school, try to apply for some scholarships earlier, so that way you'll be up there. But also at the same time, parents begin to build the 529 college savings plan for your child when they're younger, so that way they'll have some money to be able to use to pay for school once they get 18, or once they graduate high school.
No, that's bro. No, I agree. That's facts, man. So, when I think about just this money management, talking about, the articles and everything and the information that you're putting out, What are you doing to, besides like the articles and online, what are you doing to increase your outreach to try to, reach some of these young people, whether it's high school students, whether it's people currently in college, or whether it's somebody that graduated a couple years ago and, really doesn't have an idea of which direction to take to tackle their student loans, to manage their money, to build their credit. I just want to know, are you doing anything to kind of increase your outreach besides the online presence?
I am. I mean, communication is key. It's just so amazing to me to see where I was 4 years ago in 2017 with all this debt and see where I am now. Um, I became debt free on March 19th, 2021. That was about a week and a half after my
Congratulations.
aunt. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. That was about a week and a half after my aunt had unfortunately passed away. She lost her
Hmm.
battle with cancer and Parkinson's. And one of the things I would also always say is that I would always talk to her on the phone. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Unfortunately, when she passed, I had to finally get over that hump, and I only had a little bit of student loans left. I had paid off the final about $1,700 on March 19th, and
Hmm.
that sort of paved the way for me to start writing about finance. And I think that's part of the communication, because these articles, I've done 4 as of this recording so far. I plan to do articles monthly. I've been writing on this website called medium.com. It's kind of like this platform we're on now, Anchor FM, where you can kind of just you do your own thing, and they allow you to do it for free. But I've just been doing a monthly, writing monthly articles ever since I paid off my debt, just sort of sharing my story and my experiences, and the communication piece. How we're talking about it right now, how I talk about it to my coworkers, how I'm sharing it through articles, and I share my articles on Twitter, and I plan on jumping back on Instagram in a little bit. We'll see, but just that communication, because 4 years ago I wouldn't have been talking to somebody about stocks or
Right.
which funds or dividends and things like that, versus now I can talk freely to people on the train, or if I'm going to Costco, or just in leisure, and that's become part of who I am now.
Right.
And it's kind of like the art that's kind of taking like a back seat. I still love art, but this is just the sort of wave I'm on right now with this personal finance. And there's just a lot. That's one of the things I mentioned about college. College teaches you a lot, and unless you're a finance major, and even when you're a finance major, you may not know it all, but man, I mean, you talk about you went to grad school. I think over the past year and a half, I think I went to another school myself. I went to YouTube University, shit, because
Yeah.
because YouTube has everything, man. I learned so much. There's so many personalities and personal finance personalities, and there's so many things that I've learned from reading and podcasting. I mean, listening to podcasts and from YouTube. And so, I'm still. I want to say I'm a graduate of YouTube University, but I'm still attending YouTube University because there's just a wealth of information on there. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always learning every day. I'm still learning about things and whatnot.
No, no, absolutely, bro. Like, it's amazing to hear, bro. And I definitely love what you're doing. Definitely continue, send me the articles any way I can support. We spread the message because it's information that we need. And this was just great. I'm glad to have you on today. Like I always tell people, the main part of this platform is just me sharing my network with the world, giving my friends, my colleagues, family their flowers, while they're here. So like I said, bro, appreciate everything we done been through together. We done, watched each other grow up, man. And now we grown men, and, we still young. We ain't got no kids yet. We ain't dads and granddads yet, but
Right, right, right.
that's right around the corner. But yeah, man, I definitely want to just shout out everybody that grew up with us, man, from Markel, Jarrell, Tata,
Yeah, all of them.
Corny, Lante, Mr. Crawford, Bernard, Lola, Mr. Sykes, Miss Frankie, like,
Mr.
you know what I
Frank.
mean? Travis, I seen
Everybody,
Travis the other
man.
day, Travis, same old Travis, show love,
Yeah,
man. Yeah, like just just a good thing, man. Like, cause in that neighborhood, I don't think people realize, like, when people sometimes, DC is always gonna be DC,
yeah,
but they don't understand, like, that neighborhood used to be so wild. So
yeah. No, no, it did. I mean, it did.
yeah, so it's like now when people be complaining about it, I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like, nah, this thing used to be crazy. And we was outside for 12 hours every day.
Yeah, and at some points, being a child, it was just great. But there's some drawbacks. You don't really have that freedom. But now that you're an adult, you have that freedom. But sometimes there are pieces of it that really like sucks, or like just because of the responsibilities. But I will say like a couple little key points before we definitely close it off. It's like,
Yeah.
for those people that want to pay off debt, definitely seek out people, seek out a network or whatnot. There's so much. There's a wealth of information for you to be just sort of debt free. And when you become debt free, you don't necessarily have to change who you are. I mean, I'm eating sandwiches for lunch. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I'm not saying I'm broke. I'm comfortable, and I'm trying to build up my net worth and whatnot. But I had all my money tied up into paying down loans and credit cards. But now I got a chance to have my money into different things, like putting more into my Roth IRA, my TSP retirement, and also I'm also investing in real estate. I got some shares in real estate and whatnot. So there's just so many different opportunities, and it's just so much, and I don't have to like worry about money anymore. That's one of the things that people stress about. How like you hear about all the divorces. A lot of divorces happen because they're not on the same page financially. You hear about a lot of people don't have enough money to cover a $500 emergency, enough money to cover $1,000 emergency. You really got to hunker down and save some money and pay off, see where all your money is going to, all these different avenues, and really create a plan. And it's crazy because I went from in my mailbox, they send me mail about loans and credit cards and this, that, and the other while I was still in debt. But now I'm getting loans because I made a few donations to like National Cancer Society. I'm getting donation money. Can you donate here? Can you donate there? And so like finance is one of the things in your life where like you can change, and it can change you, and it can change the people around you. And I hope to become an inspiration towards people from the art side, but also on the finance side. And it's just so much, man. Investing, stocks, everything, man. It's exciting. And you really got to build that net worth, because you're gonna need money to retire. I guarantee you right now, if you retire $500,000 in DC, you probably not gonna cut it. Like you gonna need like at least $1 million plus.
You ain't doing nothing.
You're gonna need $1 million plus. No, trust me, you're gonna need $1 million plus, because I actually read an article a couple of days ago about how much $500,000 will last you. In Virginia, it'll last you like probably like 3 to 5 years in Virginia, for example. But like California, Hawaii, and New York, $500,000 will probably only last you about a year and 10 months or something like that. So
yeah, that 500 only gonna stretch in Delaware, man.
Right. And it's just so much, man. And it's just a lot of stuff that you and I can sort of teach you or talk to you about. Again, about investing, about stocks, about dividends, man.
For sure, bro. And I'm all ears for, because I got a lot of friends on, a lot of people on it. I got to tap into it more, when I think about wanting to purchase a home in the next 2-3 years.
Right.
I'm doing great with saving money. But now, like we talked before, I want to get more into investing and, having my money work for me. Even if it's making $20 overnight while I'm sleep, like that's a win for me. Like, cause I just want to, that 20 could turn into 20,000, 200, so forth and so on. So, we definitely gonna stay connected on this topic for sure, bro.
Yeah, but one of the biggest things you got to do is also stay investing in yourself. And definitely even for you, look at how much you got in student loans right now. See, figure out a time frame. If you can tackle that in a reasonable time frame, will it take you 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Sometimes you just got to sit down, write stuff down, and plan it out. That applies to anybody and everybody. Just sit down, write it out, and make a plan and make it work. Because I guarantee you that money that you owe in student loans, imagine if you didn't have that right now. You can throw all that into these investments, and you got little businesses and side hustles that you're running right now. You just have more capital and just more funds on hand to be able to do these other different things, because you always been moving and shaking. You be in Vegas and Nevada and Delaware, and you be in DC, and you be in Miami. You always been everywhere. I'm surprised you even carved out 40-45 minutes for me. Thank you.
Nah, man, it's always like I said, you are really, when the people say day one, you're like, nah, this is literally a day one.
Yeah,
like,
man. Yeah.
And for those listening, like, my father still has the apartment over on 1621. So, we still over there. We still over there here and there, man.
Yeah, I need to come back over there, man. I need to every time I go around that way, man, I'm like, wow, like
totally different, totally different. It's totally different now too. Like I will say the building, because over years the building condition has changed and stuff. Right. Neighbors have changed. It's lost that sense.
Mr. Crawford moved out, right?
Yeah, so it's lost that sense of that community. We was just 12 apartments in there. Everybody knew everybody, but now it was like, you see people in the hall, you don't even know who that is. You know how it is. Everybody moving in the city in and out the city. So, but yeah, bro. But this was great, bro. Thank you. Definitely appreciate you coming on here, bro. We'll have you on again. And, we're going to stay in touch, man. And I can't wait to share this with the world. And, we can just continue to, build on this topic, because it's something that a lot of people need, but specifically us as young Black people. We need to change the cycle. We need to change the narrative. So once we had kids and grandkids, like wealth, investments, all that stuff is like second nature to them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'll leave you with all my links for everybody. You know, so
Facts.
my art website is www.rellsimonart.com. Rell, RELL, rellsimonart.com. Again, I write articles on Medium, but my sort of homepage is www.rellsimon.medium.com, where I write my personal finance articles. I'm also on Instagram at kicks_on_canvas_artistry, and I'm also on Twitter at underscore Filipino, excuse me, at Filipino_Rell. And so, yeah, just hit me up on there, and definitely looking forward to it, sharing these articles with people, and maybe I'll do a podcast on my own, or maybe I'll do some Zoom workshops or what have you about
Yeah.
finance, things like that. So it's definitely some open avenues for me, and I'm excited to talk to you more about this. And thank you for having me on. And I'm excited for anybody that listens to this, but God bless you all. And I'm just excited about the next journey, not only for me, for you, but for all of us that are still here. And blessings to anyone blessings to anyone who's lost somebody during COVID, man. It's been really
Yeah.
rough, and it's
Yeah.
about survival these days. But please just take care of yourselves, everybody, and God bless you.
All right, man. Appreciate it, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, peace.
All right, bye.